I'd like you to find the page in your lecture notes in Chapter 3 that's titled Bushmeat Trade and follow along with me, please. So what is bushmeat? It's meat derived from wildlife. In Africa, forests and savannas are commonly referred to as bush, hence the name bushmeat. Many rural communities depend on hunting wildlife for subsistence, and their ability to sustainably harvest wildlife is an essential part of their lives and well-being. In this discussion, the bushmeat trade refers to the illegal and unsustainable overhunting of wildlife for meat and income. Examples include meat derived from elephant, gorilla, chimpanzee, forest antelope, crocodile, pangolin, and monitor lizard. And this is a series of pictures of pangolins from the African Pangolin Working Group. This is a picture of pangolins being grilled and scaled. Here you can see scaled pangolins, and then 2 pangolins among a haul of freshly killed animals for bushmeat. So what is the issue? The bushmeat trade is commercial, illegal, and unsustainable. And it's causing local extinctions of wildlife. It's causing a thing called empty forest syndrome. And previously not at-risk species are now at risk of extinction. The bushmeat trade is a growing problem in Western and Central Africa. It's driven by markets with high human population densities and high growth rates. In this region of Africa, hunting of wildlife for meat is a greater threat to biodiversity conservation than deforestation. And so that takes us to a definition of empty forest syndrome. In areas where tree cover is relatively intact, there are forests with no large animals. And this is called empty forest syndrome. And the problem with not having large animals is it affects the ecology of the forest. Primates and antelopes that are commonly hunted for bushmeat play an important role in the forest by spreading the seeds of trees and shrubs. And so this is a picture of West Africa, 2 areas, the Congo Basin and the Upper Guinea forest ecosystem. And if we look at the Congo Basin, as much as 1 million metric tons of bushmeat is eaten in the Congo Basin. That's the equivalent of 4 million cattle. What are the consequences of unregulated bushmeat trade? Well, vulnerable and endangered species are facing extinction. The giant pangolin and all 3 African apes are facing extinction as examples. Common species are becoming rare and in some cases locally extinct. And it's contributing to the perpetuation of illegal trade in orphaned apes. And then it has a great impact on indigenous communities because it's basically leading to the destruction of subsistence-based indigenous communities living in the forest because their source of food is removed from the forest. And then there's the risk of transmission of dangerous diseases to humans, such as the Ebola virus, or the suspected pangolins is suspected in the coronavirus pandemic. So what are the drivers of illegal hunting in the bushmeat trade? Increasing demand for bushmeat in rural areas due to human population growth. Increased demand for bushmeat in urban areas. Bushmeat in urban centers is considered a luxury product, and that results in high prices, and this drives the commercialization of illegal hunting. And then, of course, human encroachment into wildlife areas. Inadequate penal systems and lack of enforcement, just like any form of illegal wildlife trade. Lack of alternative livelihoods, that's another issue with poaching also. And then political instability, corruption, and poor governance. And then a lot of animals are taken in snares, and abundant supplies of wire are stolen and used for snares. Here's a picture of a wildebeest that was wounded in a snare, and the animal actually broke the snare from the tree from which it was attached to. They had to euthanize this animal because the wire was embedded in the skull. And so in the upper left, you can see a wire snare, pretty simple way to kill wildlife. In the upper right, you see wildebeest killed in snares in Serengeti National Park. And then lower left, a lion killed in a snare in Zambia. And lower right, spotted hyena treated after being severely injured in a snare in Zambia. And other kinds of traps are used also. This is an elephant's foot that was caught in a gin trap. And so in certain areas of Africa, the commercial bushmeat trade has become the most immediate threat to the survival of wildlife, especially in the Congo Basin. More than 5 million tons of bushmeat were taken from the Congo Basin forest each year. I could find data for 2003, and approximately 295 chimpanzees were slaughtered for bushmeat in the Republic of Congo alone. At that time, the total value of the bushmeat trade around the world was estimated as $1 billion annually. Here again, you can see a number of wire snares. Great apes, gorillas, chimpanzees, and bonobos are being hunted to extinction for commercial bushmeat in the equatorial forest of West and Central Africa. And so here you can see an ape's head in a bowl. You can see apes and other animals on this tarp. Here's a guy eating pangolin, also called the scaly anteater, which is a popular dish in Cameroon and a number of other areas. And then here's a picture of a giant pangolin. And here's a picture of a kid selling dried bushmeat on a roadside in central Mozambique. So what are some of the connections to the bushmeat trade? Well, there's links to logging and mining, because with the timber industry, you have roads being built and roads being cut into previously inaccessible forests now make those forests accessible for commercial hunting. Another connection is orphaned chimpanzees. Infant chimpanzees continue to be orphaned because of illegal bushmeat hunting. They are often left to die or traded as illegal pets. And then there's implications for human health because of our close relationship with primates. It's possible that many viruses and parasites may be transmitted when one consumes primates. Viruses such as AIDS and Ebola have been linked to direct contact with apes.